You wanted Instant Pot recipes, and I can't wait to share these with you. Funny story, I've had a pressure cooker for about 8 years now, but I only use it for cabbage and chicken, and it stays on the back porch because cabbage stinks when you cook it. Hey y'all, I'm Valerie, and welcome to my kitchen. So, my pressure cooker isn't technically an Instant Pot, and I want to give a big shout out to my Aunt Debbie for letting me borrow hers. I'm gonna tell on her. She's had hers for about 2 years now and never took it out of the box because she didn't know how to use it. Well, I'm about to change all that. In today's video, I'm sharing 5 new to me Instant Pot recipes that we loved. Okay, y'all, let's get started. Okay, my sister sent me this one to try. Her and her family love it. It's a cheesy ground beef and noodles. To get started, I'm setting my Instant Pot to the saute function. With this setting, you can brown and sear your meat, you can saute veggies, or whatever you need to do. That saves you from having to do some of those things on the stovetop and then transferring it to the Instant Pot. Makes it a whole lot easier. So to begin, I added about a tablespoon of butter in there, along with 1 pound of ground beef. I let that cook until it was completely cooked through. Oh, and you can go ahead and hit that cancel button to turn the heat off while we add in the rest. The recipe said to add in a 10.5 ounce can of chicken broth. I did about 1 1/3 cup of broth, along with 3.5 cups of water, 1 teaspoon each of salt and pepper, half a tablespoon each of garlic powder and onion powder, and feel free to add anything else you think would be good in here. Now I'm adding in 4 cups of egg noodles. And you don't really want to stir this, just gently spread them out and kind of press them down to make sure all those noodles are completely submerged in that liquid. Next, you're going to add in 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. And the recipe did say to add it right on top there and do not stir. Okay y'all, I'm telling you, this was the first time I tried this. I just felt like those noodles were not completely under that water. And I probably shouldn't have done this, but I added a tiny bit more water. But next time I make this, I will definitely trust the process. Then I put that lid on. You want to make sure to turn that little knob there to the sealing position. It needs to be pointed straight to the middle there. Now you're going to hit that manual button and you're going to set it to cook on high pressure for 2 minutes. It does take a little bit for that steam to build up, but once it does, you'll see those minutes start to count down. When it's done, you're going to immediately turn that knob to the venting position to do a quick release. When all that steam stops, you can go ahead and take the lid off and give everything inside a really good stir. And as soon as I took that lid off, I was like, oh no, what did I do wrong? I shouldn't have added that water, which it wasn't much, maybe 1/4 of a cup, but I immediately called my sister. I was like, okay, this has a lot of liquid left. Is that what it's supposed to do? She said, it'll be fine. Go ahead and add in the butter and the cheese and it'll start to thicken up. So that's what I did. You're going to add in 1/4 cup of butter. That was half a stick, along with 3.5 cups of shredded mozzarella and cheddar cheese. That's why it helps to try something that somebody else you know has already made. Kind of like what I do. I share recipes that me and my family have tried and we love. Trust me, I try some that don't turn out good at all and I don't share those. Okay, back to this recipe here. After that cheese is completely melted, this is ready to serve. And the longer this sits, the more it thickens up. But y'all, I couldn't wait. I had to go ahead and eat. This was absolutely delicious. And it's definitely something that I'm going to be making again. And a big shout out to my sister, Aunt B, for sending me this. And by the way, if y'all have a favorite Instant Pot recipe, let me know in the comments below. I need some more ideas. Y'all, I love egg roll in a bowl. And when I seen this Instant Pot version, I knew I had to try it. I started out by hitting that saute function. I added in half a diced onion that was not in the recipe. But I also added 1 pound of ground turkey. You can also use ground pork or ground beef or even ground chicken. To season it up, I did about a teaspoon of garlic. I had some fresh ginger on hand, so I grated up about a couple teaspoons of that. Or you could just do 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. Just break that up and let it cook until that ground turkey is completely cooked through. If there's any grease left, you can just use a paper towel to get rid of what you can. Next, add half a cup of low sodium chicken broth, 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. I added about a teaspoon of sesame oil. I have to have this in my egg roll in a bowl, so I do not suggest skipping it. And you can do about a half a teaspoon each of salt and pepper, but I just added in some Badia Complete. Okay, if you want, you can do 1 bag of the pre-shredded coleslaw mix, about a pound. I already had a cabbage, a red cabbage, and some carrots on hand, so I just made my own mix. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, I would really appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up. It really does help out my channel. It lets me know you want to see more videos like this. Okay, after I got it all in there, once again it said do not stir, but I did spread it out just a little bit. Then you're going to put that lid on. Am I the only one that struggles with this lid here? Maybe it's because I'm doing it kind of to the side. I can't stand right in front of it because the camera's right there. Make sure you turn that knob to the sealing position. Then you're going to set this to cook on high pressure. Y'all, this is crazy. For 0 minutes. I've been absolutely loving cooking in the Instant Pot. Do y'all have one? Do y'all use it a lot? When that timer goes off, you're going to turn that knob to the quick release and let all that steam out. Then you can go ahead and take that lid off and give it a really good stir. Then this is ready to serve. And y'all, please be careful when you take the lid off because that steam is very, very hot. And I just kind of used my tongs to toss everything around. This was so good. I'll definitely be making it in the Instant Pot again. My only complaint was next time I make it, I'm gonna double the cabbage. I love cabbage, so I just felt like it was a lot of meat to cabbage ratio, and I just wanted a little more cabbage in there. So I'm gonna double the amount, but feel free to do anything you like. I wanted to try this chicken and wild rice soup, and I am so glad I did. I'm starting out by setting my Instant Pot to the saute function. Now the recipe says to add everything into the Instant Pot and set it to cook on high pressure for 25 minutes, but I like to saute my veggies. That's why I started out on the saute function. Then I added in a couple tablespoons of butter, along with 1 diced onion and 2 large carrots chopped into coins. I did let those cook for just a little bit because I did want them nice and tender. So if you like your veggies more crisp, you can skip this whole step of sauteing the veggies. I also added in a couple stalks of celery chopped. So the order I did these in, I just started with the ones first that I wanted cooked down the most. Now I'm adding in about 8 ounces of mushrooms that I roughly chopped there. And feel free to add more of something if you want, or take away something. Just kind of make it your own. Like the celery. If you don't like celery, you can leave it out and just add some more carrots. For the seasonings, I did half a teaspoon of thyme, about 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, and a tablespoon of prepared mustard. Next, you're going to add in 1.5 cups of wild rice. By the way, I did turn off my saute function. You can also add in 1 3/4 teaspoon of salt, but the recipe called for 7 cups of low sodium chicken broth. I used regular chicken broth, so I just left the salt out. I also added a couple washed, peeled, and diced russet potatoes and 1.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken. Chicken thighs would also be really good in here. And while I'm thinking about it, if you're new, I would really love to have you here. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. That way you get notified of all my future videos. Okay, I was just trying to give everything a little stir there. I also added in about a half a teaspoon of pepper. Now we're going to cover this and make sure you set that knob to the sealing position. Y'all don't laugh at me with this lid here. I'm telling you, it's because I'm trying to do it from the side. Okay, you're going to hit that manual button and set it to cook on high pressure for 25 minutes. Once you get to 25, just let it go. You don't have to press anything else. It'll automatically start. And when it's done, you're not going to do anything. You're going to let it sit for 10 minutes, and then you can go ahead and release that pressure. Then you can go ahead and remove that lid so we can finish up this soup. I'm trying not to fog everything up here. Oh, and when I seen that chicken, I was like, this is not done. But it was. I think it was just the colors from all the wild rice and veggies. So I went ahead and removed it to a separate plate to shred. You can also dice it if you want. And before I added that chicken back in, I had some kale on hand. So I added in a couple cups of that. I had just chopped it into small pieces. I also added half a cup of heavy cream and 1.5 cups of milk. After I got it all stirred up, I did put that lid back on and I just let this sit. I just wanted to give it enough time for that kale to completely wilt down. Well, not completely wilted down, but I wanted it to start to get a little tender. And with adding that milk back in too, I wanted to make sure it was completely warmed through. I just let it sit for about 5 minutes though. Then I added in all that shredded chicken. I liked all the chicken, but if you wanted to do less chicken, you could totally get away with about 1 pound here. I gave it all a really good stir, and then this soup was ready to serve. It was absolutely amazing. Definitely one of my new favorite soups. It really surprised me. That just goes to show you some things you gotta just try. Even if it's out of your comfort zone, that's how it was with this for me. But you're not gonna know about something unless you try it. It might be a new favorite. This salsa chicken is perfect if you want to find something to meal prep for the week. And it comes together super fast. To my Instant Pot, I added 3 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken. You're also going to need some taco seasoning. I'm trying some I tried homemade. I added about 3 tablespoons. Just add it depending on your preference. You're also going to add in about a teaspoon of garlic and about 1.5 cups of chunky style salsa. Oh, and I also added a 4-ounce can of diced green chilies. Oh, and I did try to drain those just a little bit. Oh, and I had to make sure I added them all there. These do not make it hot, by the way. They don't make it spicy, but it does add a whole lot of flavor. And I do get them mild. And make sure you set that knob to sealing. And this recipe was a little different. It had me to cook this on the meat stew setting for 15 minutes, which I think it's the same thing as the manual high pressure. I'm not sure, but if you know, you'll have to let me know in the comments below. What's the difference between the manual setting and that meat stew setting? And once this is done, you'll turn that knob to venting and do a quick release. After I got that lid off there, I removed that chicken to a separate bowl to shred. And I will say there was a good bit of liquid left in there. If you wanted to, before you added the chicken back in, you can run that liquid through a strainer. That way you didn't lose any of the diced green chilies or the tomatoes from the salsa and stuff. But I wanted all that flavor left in there, so I just left it. I was planning on using this to make taco salads for the week, so I just shredded up my chicken and added it in. Gave it a really good stir, and then this was ready to serve. And like I said, you can serve this however you like. I love having salsa chicken on hand to have during the week. I just served mine on a bed of lettuce with some diced tomatoes. If I had some avocado, I would have used that. We love avocado here. And I topped everything off with some ranch dressing. You could also do some sour cream, add on some shredded cheddar cheese. Just get creative and add anything you like. I seen this Instant Pot baked ziti and I was like, yep, I gotta try it. I'm starting out with that saute function. I've got 1 pound of ground beef here. It was still a tiny bit frozen, so I let it start to cook. Then I added in 1 small diced onion. I went ahead and added some nature seasoning, just seasoned to taste. And then you're gonna let this cook until that ground beef is completely cooked through. Y'all have to tell me, I think I've asked you before, do you add your seasoning like while you're cooking your ground beef or after it's cooked through and you've drained it? There wasn't much grease left in here, so I just left it. I added in a heaping teaspoon of minced garlic. I let it cook for about a minute or so. Then you're going to add in a 23-ounce jar of your favorite marinara sauce. And I did put a tiny bit of water in that jar there and shake it up just to make sure I got all that sauce out. I also added about a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. You can go ahead and give this a really good stir to make sure all that seasoning and all the sauce is well combined. Okay, after that, you're going to add in the pasta. I'm doing a 16-ounce box of Ziti pasta. I don't ever cook with Ziti, but I figured if I was making a baked Ziti recipe, I probably should use Ziti pasta. But y'all, you can really use any kind of pasta you like. Just make sure you don't stir them. I did spread mine out into an even layer. Then you're going to pour in 2 cups of water. Then I did press down on the pasta to make sure it was down into that liquid. Then you're going to put that lid on and set the valve to sealing position. You're going to set this to cook on high pressure for 7 minutes. And then when this was done, I did a quick release with that valve. I took the lid off, and then you're going to stir it all together. And as soon as my spoon hit that pasta, I was like, oh no, this did not turn out. The noodles are sticking together. What did I do? But just keep stirring. They eventually all come apart. Sometimes you just got to trust the process. And after you get all those noodles broke apart there, you're going to add in 1 cup of cottage cheese. And if you're not a huge fan of cottage cheese, I'm sure ricotta would be fine. But you could also put the cottage cheese in a blender or a food processor. We didn't have a problem with it, but that cottage cheese doesn't completely melt down. You will still be able to see it in there, but I'm sure if you put it in a food processor, it would turn out much better, or not much better necessarily. It's not going to taste better, but if you have a thing for seeing the cottage cheese, definitely put it in a food processor, or even try the ricotta and let me know what you think about it. I also sprinkled on about a cup of shredded mozzarella cheese on top. I put the lid back on and I let it sit. You don't set it to cooking or anything. I just let it sit for 5 minutes until that cheese on top was completely melted. This turned out so good. It was quick and easy to make. I have been loving using this Instant Pot. I cannot believe I have went this long and only used my pressure cooker to make cabbage and chicken. I'm definitely hooked, and I sure do hope y'all want to see more Instant Pot recipes, because I see another Instant Pot video in the near future for sure. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You may also like these. Don't forget to subscribe down below for more easy recipes, and I will see you in the next one. Didn't you have it for 2 years? I'm going to tell on you that you didn't.
Yeah, I've had it for 2 years.
Ziti. Okay. Yeah, I got it. Hey y'all. No. Well, let's just start over again. In today's video, I should just leave what I got. And do you see how hard this is?
Yes.
You're okay. It's okay. I keep saying so. I keep saying. I got this.